Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Happy Tuesday, Tom.
Good morning. How are you today, Bob?
I'm doing okay, except I've got to tell you, I'm sure people will relate to this. I had to replace a computer that died about 2 weeks ago. I tried to live by iPad for 2 weeks because I have a really nice iPad. And even with the keyboard, it just wasn't getting me where I needed to go. So on Thursday, I bought a new computer. And now I'm going through that period where every time you need a password, you have to figure out what the password is. And the things that were said in certain places aren't there anymore. And it's interesting to me how long things take when the conveniences of desktop icons or password already being established and it just automatically does it. It's amazing how much more time you can take to do things like I had to open a Word document. It took 3 minutes because I had to put in the Microsoft password, which I defined. So I'm finding that things are more laborious than they have been in the past, but it's also helping me understand how incredibly powerful these tools are. I think I may have just given you my celebration without even trying.
Well, that's a little early, but that's okay. You can do that if you choose. Well, I wish we had these first world problems that I can't remember my password. It takes me 3 minutes to open up a document, and it's now there's you could think about I'm going to have a new computer. What are the things that I need to be prepared for when I start this? And think about, okay, what are my passwords? What are the things that how do I plan? And now how would you do it differently the next time you bought a computer?
Well, the difference was last time I did this, both computers were operational. So I buy Microsoft Mac computers, and you can easily transport everything from one to the other. It just automatically does its thing. Because this computer died, that availability wasn't there. So that was the factor that I wasn't counting on. And while I had some backups, they didn't make it as seamless as I had hoped it would be.
It's funny. I thought that even if they died, that those people at the Genius Bar could collect some of your data, but maybe not. I don't know.
I am not near a Genius Bar, and that was another limiting factor.
Fair enough. Well,
yeah.
So your day is going to be challenged today. So what are you going to do differently today so that it doesn't impact you the way that it did yesterday?
I'm trying to build in more time to do things. That's the key. It's going to take longer. And there are a couple of things I did today already that were quicker today than they were yesterday, just because, the tabs were where they needed to be and the things were going. And I set whether it's Safari or Chrome as the default browser, those types of things.
Fair enough. As long as you learned. That's all that matters.
Right? I'm sure there's someone out there listening to this or watching this going, oh, I know exactly what he's going through. It's so annoying to switch computers.
And yet, without a new computer, you would be
even more behind the 8 ball.
Correct. Yes, indeed. So it's all about perspective, right?
Yes. And all about me, apparently.
Well, I think we've already established that. There's a trend of that, which is fine. I don't complain about that.
That's fair. I can own that.
Excellent. All right. Well, welcome everyone to today's Antidote. If you wonder, this is not a technology podcast where we try to help you get better at using your new technology. This is our opportunity to have a discussion around a topic, and it's not a new computer. Although new computers may create some doubt in your mind, and you might need to be
Well,
figuring out how to get rid of it.
it occurs to me that you could easily take the word new computer and replace it with new employee,
Sure.
new system, new software, new invoicing, new tax structure, new corporate parents. I mean, there are a lot of things that the aggravations I'm having with the computer transition are not dissimilar to when you have a new employee and suddenly you say, oh, well, just go into a storeroom and get that. And they go, I'm sorry, where's the storeroom? And you're like, oh, right. We've got to get back. Well, where's the key to the storeroom? Oh, it's on the hook over there. All those things. So it's not just a computer. I think it's a bigger issue, especially in organizations.
Yes, change. Change is different because sometimes we get very comfortable. Not sometimes. We get very comfortable with the way things are. And when they change, think about the pandemic. How many people thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to work from home? And now there are a lot of people who would be like, oh my God, I get to work from home. Isn't that awesome? And so I think it's just all about, dealing with change and figuring out how to not let it slow you down and just use it as a way to learn and understand that this is just another thing about change. What do I like to do when I have change? And use that knowledge, experience, and perspective to help you move forward. We're going to talk about something similar. It's just about doubt rather than change, even though the two are kind of connected. It's a little bit different. So we're going to talk about driving doubt away, and one of the ways that you can do that through celebrations. We'll get to that in a minute. But before we do, if you are listening to the podcast, we hope that you will rate this show
5 stars.
Yes. Please rate the show so that more people can hear our message. And as Bob says, if you'd like to give us 5 stars, well, Bob says, give us 5 stars. Say if you'd like to give us 5 stars, that would be great. So more people will get to hear and be impacted by what we have to share.
And also sharing it with someone. I have some people who share with me podcasts and they're like, you've got to listen to this episode of this podcast. It's exactly what you guys were talking about, or it's exactly what you've been telling me about. And I find that when I listen to those, it doesn't just give me that one thing where I'm like, oh, wow, yeah, that was really good to hear. It usually causes me to binge that whole series.
Sure.
And really expand my knowledge base in areas. And sometimes it's things that you wouldn't even think. Like someone sent me something about a botany podcast. I'm like, I don't even know what botany is, really. I do, but for purposes of discussion. And I listened to it and I wasn't really thinking about it in the sense that how it would help me. But it turned out it was about systems and how systems work. And it was like, oh, this is what's going on with people. And I said to the person, why did you recommend it to me? They're like, I just felt like there was something there for you to grab hold of.
Sure.
So I think it's a great gift to give people. It's also a way to build that connection with someone. Hey, I heard this really great podcast today and thought of you. Or I heard this really great YouTube video.
Yeah, because people would like to know that we were thinking of them.
Yeah.
So. And if you are not listening to the podcast, if you're watching this on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, I think that's it,
yeah.
Or Facebook as later in the day, please feel free to share a comment because we enjoy those comments and it impacts the way our conversation tends to go. And if at the end, if you have your one thing that you'd like to share, please feel free to do it. And we welcome that because we know what you have to share is going to likely be a little bit different than what we have. And it may impact someone else who needs that message today. So we hope that you will enjoy and share. So the first thing we do, though, after that, every show is celebrate. So what are you celebrating today, Bob? Or are you just going to use your computer story?
I'm going to celebrate the incredible power of technology that we take for granted most of the time until such day as you have to reset it. And then you go, wow, that really did save me a lot of time for all those years.
I like it. I like it. And I am going to celebrate the fact that my daughter was home for the weekend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she came home for a long weekend, which was great. Brought her boyfriend, so it was nice to meet him. And it was, sadly, I guess sadly, I don't know if sadly is the right word, but I was pretty busy all weekend and yesterday, so I didn't get to spend as much time as I would have liked to with them. And it was great to have her home for a little bit. So,
Is it awkward meeting boyfriends?
is it awkward meeting boyfriends? Sure, it's always awkward. It's not. I don't think it's as awkward for me as it is for the boyfriend. I think they're always like,
Do you come out with your shotgun and just introduce myself? Hi, I'm Tom Brush, and I'm prepared.
well, one, I don't have a shotgun, so that would be hard to do. Two, can you see me doing that?
I cannot.
Does that fit into my personality type?
No.
So yeah, it's awkward. You've got your child, whether, whoever they're connecting, when they bring over a significant other, you always want to make sure that your child is happy. And so it's hard to be like, it's easy to look at them and be like, well, they could be different in this way or that way or whatever, and try to find like what is the connection that they have. And at the same time, it's their life. And so you have to kind of let them find their own way. Kind of like hopefully our parents let us find our own way.
And do you grill these gentlemen at all? Because I have a reputation as an uncle. I'm the uncle who grills these people like they are forewarned by my nieces and nephews. Hey, you're going to meet Uncle Bob today. He's going to ask you a lot of questions. You need to get through this.
Like you're asking me a lot of questions about this. This is interesting. No, I am not a griller. I am a listener. I think you should know that by me. I like to listen and hear what they have to say and try to form my own opinions. And I come from a family of, there's 36 cousins. And
wow.
We're fairly close and see each other fairly regularly. And my uncles, and I had 8 of them, 7 of them, and they were the grillers. So anytime one of either myself or my cousins brought people home, we were warning them about Uncle Tom or Uncle Jack.
That's Uncle Bob.
Yeah. We didn't have an Uncle Bob, but I know exactly what that's like. And that was a true test. If you could survive the uncle grilling, any other thing else probably really didn't matter. So, yes, I think it's much more awkward for the person coming than for the parents.
I remember going to Thanksgiving dinner with my wife's family. She had lots of aunts and uncles. They had a big Thanksgiving, like 100 people. And my biggest fear was not that I'd say something wrong, but that I'd meet someone and have to refer to them by name like an hour later. Because it was like just meeting. And it was probably 10 years of being married before I figured out which aunt was which aunt. And still to this day, my wife has cousins where I'm like, which one's that?
Yeah, it's a challenge. It can be a challenge. There's no doubt about that. So before we dive into our topic, what's the world celebrating today, Bob?
Tom, it's a big one.
You need a new adjective.
Okay, this is a weird one. It's National Seafood Bisque Day. That's the best I got. Do you like seafood bisque?
I'm not a big seafood person.
Me either. All right, let's just keep moving on. Right to the next thing.
All right. So for those of you who do like seafood bisque, sorry that we're not going to embellish more into it. Maybe you could put a comment in about
maybe that's the reward for liking seafood bisque. Hey, finally found something these guys weren't going to comment on.
Maybe, but I don't really know what it is. So if you love it, you can share why you love it. Put that in the comments.
Or Tom would like a recipe to know what's in it.
No, probably not.
I think it's like a creamy seafood.
Well, sure, that's a bisque.
Yeah,
it's got everything in there. That's a lot.
I don't know. I think you can make it with no. Let's not even go down that road. Let's just keep moving.
All right. So finally, we're going to get to our topic of the day. We've been, last week we talked about doubt and some of the challenges that doubt creates, and not only doubt in ourselves but doubt in others and all those things. So what we thought was we didn't want to leave people kind of hanging with stuck in doubt. So we are talking this week about driving doubt away. And one of the ways, I think one of the most effective ways that I believe is driving it away through celebrating. And
you believe it?
I'm sorry.
Wow. Not we?
I don't want to speak for you on that necessarily. You might have a different opinion. What's real for you?
The topic of today is celebrations, driving down away celebrations. I saw the slide.
Okay.
Usually that doesn't mean here's Tom's take. It means we share this.
Well, like I said, I try not to speak for others. I really, outside of the fact at the end of the show, it is definitely, and for some other things, it is we, just because I'm the one speaking. But when we're talking about a conversation around a topic, I don't want to be the person to be like, and really, if we share the same thoughts, why do we need the two of us here? I mean, our witty banter at the beginning is interesting. Not that interesting. So that's why I went that direction. So share, please, Bob. What are your thoughts about
Well,
the
I
value
think
of celebrations?
the idea of celebrating, and it came to us because, I think you really brought it to the table. You really encouraged me. I remember when I was trying to use my rower and you said you need to do this and then celebrate. And I never really tied an action to a celebration. And the first week I did my rowing each day. And, Friday afternoon, there was a celebration that included a beverage of my choice. And I sent you a picture of it. And that really changed something for me. I think what it did was it took me away from all the frustration. Because if I recall that week, I think I did 3 out of 5 days. That was 3 more days than I'd done it the week before. And so celebrating that progress was really critical to getting me into a habit and also forgiving myself for not being perfect. And I think we see this when we're working with people a lot, that they're focused on, my goal is, the best example I think is a sales call. I made a sales call and they didn't buy from me. So that's a failure. Whereas to me, the fact that you made the call, to you, the fact that you made that call, that's worthy of celebration. As you say so eloquently, the results aren't what we're really celebrating. We're celebrating the action. And I think celebrating actions we take starts to eliminate doubt, or at least move doubt away, because it's easy to take actions. It's harder to take actions when you're tied to the result. If I do this broadcast and we don't get 50,000 people listening today, why did I do it? Versus I'm going to do this broadcast, do the best I can with it, and at the end celebrate the fact that each day we educate ourselves, other people. And that celebration, and even the things you and I celebrate in the morning. I've noticed over the last couple of weeks, yours tend to be personal things and mine tend to be more business. Not that we've orchestrated that. We've never had a discussion of, hey, you need to celebrate this, I'll celebrate that. I think it's just the way we look at life and where we are in our life right now. And I think that also, for me, the time it takes to figure out what to celebrate each morning really makes me think about things I wouldn't have. I wasn't thinking about the incredible power of the computer. I was pretty much cursing it yesterday and Friday. But this morning when I needed a source of celebration, it's like, well, geez, when I get this the way I want it, it's going to make my life infinitely easier. And I think that's the real shift in mind, from this is a complete annoyance, this computer, to, when I get it right, it's going to be awesome. And celebrating that gives us a way to, it's the pathway forward. Sure. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think I agree. I also think that it reminds us of things that we can do well. I think one of the biggest challenges, if you're working on a project and you're really not sure, or you take a new job and you're uncertain that it's the right fit, but then someone walks by and says, wow, you really did a good job on that project or on that event, or, someone celebrates what you do, you start to reduce that doubt. Think, well, I guess maybe my perspective isn't the same as everyone else. Or if I'm struggling, but I think, geez, I'm really not sure I can do this. And I take a moment to think about a time when I did it well and did it in a way that I got the results that I was hoping for. you can sort of slow down that doubt and start to push it away with positive feelings of, I have had success. I have had other things that gone well. And so there's exactly what you said, which is celebrating doing things that aren't always easy, usually, especially in the work world, are hard or uncomfortable. And then at the same time, leveraging past experiences. That's all part of our knowledge, experience, and perspective. And if we don't take time to draw on that, then it's not as valuable as it could be. Could we go back and think? I'm sure we go back and think of all the times that we may have struggled and how we felt, and no doubt. And that will definitely bring up doubt in our minds and in our thoughts. And maybe if we took more time to celebrate those things where things went as you expected or as you had hoped, then you can say, well, if I could do it there, why am I having so much doubt around this? How do I leverage what I learned and gained there now to handle whatever situation I'm in? I think that's what we try to do with this show, is provide people with thoughts and ideas, concepts that they can leverage when they don't have some knowledge, experience, and perspective that we've had, a situation that we've experienced, so that they can use that to drive them forward if they are not or struggling to find those things that they can celebrate themselves. And so to me, that's why I think finding value, finding new value is really a celebration. Every day we could celebrate the fact that we gained new knowledge, we gained new experience, a new perspective, and then use that to move forward. So I'll go back to the example of, our conversation about my daughter and her boyfriend, that he could walk away from this and just be like, oh yeah, that was fine or whatever. Or he could walk away with, what did I learn? Well, I learned this about Tom, and I learned this about Liz, and this about their daughter and their dogs and the way they live and those type of things. And how can I leverage that moving forward? If he's a really smart person or just a thinking person, he'll go back and be like, okay, well, this is what I noticed about Tom. He likes this, this, and this. And since they were on last night, he likes the Buffalo Bills. Okay, well, if this relation continues and there was a way that I wanted to get in good with Tom, I would consider, how do I either have more knowledge, share something about the Bills, or give him a gift that has something to do with the Bills. And now I've leveraged that to move forward. And it's really an opportunity for him, if he takes the time to celebrate that he actually came and he put up with us for 4 days. He can then figure out, all right, what do I take from that? And use that as, well, they didn't hate me. They didn't kick me out of the house. They didn't treat me like I was an idiot. So, all right, I made progress. I'm going to celebrate that.
I'd like to think he found something bigger, that you and your wife and your daughter have a very special relationship. And that if he's going to be a part of her life, he needs to be a part of you and your wife's life as well.
Sure.
And sometimes I don't think we realize that until you get in the family situation and go, okay, wow.
If you don't stop to consider it, if all you do is be like, oh yeah, that was a fun weekend, and then you move on and you didn't really gain anything from it except, all right, that was a good time. It's harder. It'll be harder the next time because you won't remember the quirky ways that we do things. It's just the way that we do it that other people don't. And I think that's, one of the opportunities is to understand, like, I survived and this is what I learned. I'm going to celebrate that. And then I'm going to leverage that the next time I might be in doubt. Like, he might go home and be like, Tom didn't say a whole lot. He's kind of, quiet or whatever. I wonder if he didn't like me. Well, no, we had a conversation around this, 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 and this. And move forward. Right. And I think those things happen with our bosses or our employees all the time, our staff, sometimes our customers. Well, I don't really understand what they're saying. Well, have I gone back and thought about all the different interactions that I've had with them to think about, okay, well, how can I leverage some of that to erase some of the feelings of doubt that I might be having?
So what's your one thing today, Tom? That thing that we can take to the bank and really think through today as we look at celebration and driving doubt away?
Well, I think the one thing I guess I would share that I think there is something about, I used to love when we would do birthday parties or celebrate people's birthdays in an office setting because really you're celebrating them. And I think so often in an office setting, we can be uncertain where we stand, especially with various people. And not that this is the solution to it, but maybe at least for a temporary time to change our mind, to drive some doubt away, at least for the moment, we see people who are willing to come and celebrate us. And that helps feel like, okay, they do appreciate me. I am a part of this group. This is a part of where I am. And, I think anytime you think about celebrations, even though we talk about it as it doesn't have to be this huge thing, every time you celebrate could be a huge thing to you as a way to say, I have value. I have, some experiences that have gone really well. I've done things that have gone well. I've gotten to where I am through challenges and opportunities and successes and struggles. This is how I'm going to help myself move forward. I think that's the one thing I would say is, even the word celebrations, like you can't really say it. Well, we're going to do celebrations. It just doesn't, the word to me lends yourselves to change the way you are feeling. It's like the endorphin rush of, it's an exciting word. It's kind of like watching you every morning do your like, no thing. Kind of like, all right, now it's time to go. And I'm going to celebrate that. And now I have my body has gone through a change. And I think that type of a change allows you to push doubt away.
I like all that. I'm going to suggest something that when I talk to people about celebration, often the first time, second time we go through it, they can't find something to celebrate.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to me how easy it is for me to find something for them to celebrate. Like, well, but you got on the phone and did it. You wrote the email and sent it out. Well, it wasn't a really good email. That's not the discussion right now. The discussion right now is 2 weeks ago, you said you could never send an email to all the people in your database, and now you've done it. You should celebrate that progress. So I would challenge people that when you think, even in the worst of circumstances, there is something to celebrate. And when you find that one thing to celebrate, what I find for me is often once I find that one thing, 10 other things come up. And before I know it, all the doubts around the circumstance, the situation have gone away because it's like, well, I got to celebrate this. I can't. And it propels you forward to try it anew the next day.
Sure.
And you figure if you celebrate one thing every day, Tom, even if you just did it on your work days, weekdays, that's 200 things a year. I will bet you very, very few people in business celebrate 200 things a year. No. They celebrate hitting the sales quota. They celebrate the revenue. If it's in the nonprofit world, they celebrate getting more donors or meeting their goal for the year. If it's a company, we're celebrating that we had enough employees to get the work done or that the supply chain works, all those things. But to get those big ticket items, there are many, many, many smaller steps that you have to take. And so celebrating each of those steps is going to drive you towards that result much more quickly. And I think as you celebrate things, you start to recognize different patterns, different connections, different ties between things. When I talked about technology earlier, I'm like, wow, the computer really does save me a lot of time. What I took from that as I was saying it was, okay, it's worth the investment of my time today and tomorrow to go through the aggravation of getting all the passwords set up and making sure the chimes don't go off during the program, which is still happening. All those things that are nagging things, but it's like, I need to invest the time today so that tomorrow that is off my plate. So I think celebration also helps us set priorities because we see the value of things as well.
Absolutely. And I was thinking all along as you were talking about some of those things that we typically celebrate. a lot of them are things that we don't control.
Oh, sure.
I mean, we can do everything we can to get a donor. If you're a nonprofit, doesn't mean they're going to give. We can do everything we can. We can do all the marketing in the world we need to, and people feel like it has value. Doesn't mean that they're going to buy from us.
Right.
And so I think that the challenge is that when we only celebrate things that we can't control, it limits the amount of celebrations we might have. And usually when that happens, that increases the amount of doubt that we have in ourselves or in our organization or in our strategies or in our technology, whatever it might be.
Or our mission.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just a lot of, when we worry about the things we can't control, it's easy to get doubt because we don't control. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Hey, Tom, before you go down that road, do we still have 1 or 2 slots available in our Find Your Way in 6 weeks? I've totally lost. Find Success the Renegade Way 6-week program. We got to come up with shorter names.
Or better memories, one of the two. Yes. To answer your question, there are 1 or 2 spaces left.
So if I was someone who's listening to this discussion about celebration and didn't really feel like it was making sense to me yet, but I thought it might be something intriguing, that would be something that I could take advantage of, right?
It absolutely would.
And we just started up yesterday officially. So you could jump in and you could catch up real easily because all it is just a little content each day and a little bit of homework each day. It'd take you 15, 20 minutes if you're slow. And over the next 6 weeks, you will understand the powerful role of celebrations in achieving your results and achieving greater success. You'll also see the whole day pack that Tom and I have built and how that can really help you prioritize and identify the next big steps and the smaller steps as you move yourself towards whatever your goal is. And this would work for someone, we have people in what do we have? Martial arts world, travel agency world, government. Tom and I are doing it. We were on a call with the people starting yesterday, and Tom and I each have something we're trying to do through it. So if that's something that intrigues you, or if you're saying, I just don't know what to do today, or I feel like I'm lost, or I'm never making progress towards my goals, this is one of the most effective paths I've ever found. And this doesn't replace your calendar. If you use Google Calendar, if you use Microsoft Outlook, if you use any planner, it doesn't replace that. It just helps you figure out what those priorities are that you want to put on that calendar.
Yeah, and I think it's more than that as well. I mean, I think it is really a powerful way to focus on, 1, the things that you can control, and 2, the things that are going to move yourself or your organization forward. And I think that while it manifests itself in how you build your day, it really is about how do you find priorities and how do you accomplish those things that you say are those priorities without letting other things get in the way. And I think, the more that we're able to focus on those things that are going to make a difference, that have a greatest return on investment, the more success we're going to find. So thanks for that reminder. Yes, I am putting in the chat a link where you can get more information. And, or if you have any questions, shoot Bob or I a message, an email, however you can reach us. You can call us the old fashioned way. And we're happy to help you.
Carrier pigeon, could come right to the balcony. I'm pretty cool with that.
Does it know that you're at the beach?
I don't know. They're pretty smart.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
based on the fact that I'm in a postal area at home that is one of the worst in the country for getting mail delivered, a carrier pigeon might be
better.
More efficient. Yes.
Yes. And here's the thing is, as Bob mentioned, that it's a short amount of content, but a powerful impact. You can also, like you can do this podcast, you can binge the information. So you can go and get it. And if you need to get caught up over the weekend, don't worry that we started yesterday. You'll have plenty of time to go at the pace that is real for you. So with that, is it okay to close now?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure we've got everything covered. We thank you for being with us today. We hope that if you've enjoyed what you've heard and you're not yet a member of our Ring of Renegades and you'd like to learn more, just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades, and you can become part of our private group. All you have to do is ask to join and tell us why you're a renegade. And then you can join our growing community of people who are trying to find the next step along their own unique pathway to success. So with that, we hope that you have an amazing day, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time for our next edition of Today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, embrace the renegading you.
Thanks for listening to Today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.
Oh.